Hi Epitome, it's Friday, 10/12, and those are the numbers I'm going to be talking about today. Specifically our base system. We use a decimal system. That's because a long time ago somebody decided, hey, let's use the number of fingers we have on our hands. That may or may not be the best system to use. There's certainly nothing wrong with it, so what are alternatives we can use? Brian Hayes published an article saying that the ideal base system to use would be base 3. I put a link in the doobly-doo. Computers, as you know, use base 2. The Babylonians used base 60. That's where the 60 minutes in an hour and the 60 seconds in a minute come from. In an ideal world, what should we use? Base 2 is good for computers, but it's kind of hard to use base 2 in real life. Numbers become long strings and they're hard to read. Using something like base 60, on the other hand, would require that we have 60 different symbols we use for digits, and those would be difficult to memorize. Base 10 seems to be a happy medium, but what really does base 10 offer us? Well, we can easily tell when a number is even, or we can tell when a number is divisible by 5, or 10, or 20, or 50, or 100, and that's because the prime factorization of the number 10 is 2 times 5. So any number with a prime factorization that uses only 2's and 5's relates to base 10 very easily. In my opinion, if we chose a different base system, I think it should be close to 10. Too much bigger and we'd have too many digits to memorize. Too much smaller and we'd have really long numbers. One way to look at it, like the article does, is to say that our decision should be based on the number of symbols we have to memorize and the amount of digits in a given number. If we treat it as a continuous system, then it turns out that the ideal base we should use is E, or Euler's number. And because 3 is close to E, 3 would be the ideal base. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I don't think that the number of symbols we have to memorize carries the same weight as the length of the number. That's why I think we should use base 12. The prime factorization of base 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, which means that we can easily tell if a number is divisible by 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or 12. And you're probably thinking, but why not 5? We're losing 5. In base 12, the fraction 1/5 would be an infinitely repeating decimal. 5 isn't really that special. In fact, our decimal representation of 1/3 is very long, and 1/3 shows up in mathematics much more than 1/5. So really, base 12 would be a better system. Nevertheless, base 10 and base 12 don't make much of a difference. But because we've been using base 10 for thousands of years, I don't think that change is going to happen. Nor do I want to adapt to a new base system. But it's important to think about. Mathematics, which seems so simple and logical, may not be the best representation we have. And if we ever make contact with an intelligent civilization that has come up with the math system of their own, then they might use base 12, or possibly some other obscure base with its own problems. Elaine, break a leg in your stow-op, and I will see you on Monday.